So Meta just did something that, on the surface, makes absolutely no sense. It seems to contradict everything else that's happening in the global AI race. They're dropping billions on technology that was born in China, while at the same time demanding that its origins get completely erased. We're going to dive into this, because when you start connecting the dots, a much, much bigger picture starts to come into focus.
And it all starts with this number right here, $2 billion. That's the price tag Meta just paid for an AI agent company called Manus. And the reason they paid so much is pretty simple. Its performance is just completely off the charts. And this is where the conflict really kicks in. On standard benchmarks, Manus is beating OpenAI by over 10 points. I mean, that is a massive lead in the space. But here's the catch. Manus was originally founded in China back in 2022. Now, yeah, they moved to Singapore, but Meta's deal came with one very specific, very rigid condition. And there it is, stated explicitly. Meta wants zero Chinese ownership, zero Chinese operations connected to this tech. And this is important because this agent is set to be plugged directly into Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook. So what they're trying to do here is surgically remove the Chinese DNA from their own supply chain. That's weird, right? I mean, why would you buy something so powerful and then immediately try to run away from where it came from? Now, on the surface, you could say this is just a standard compliance move. But when you zoom out and you look at the entire industry, it starts to look less like a strategy and more like a desperate scramble to outrun an unstoppable trend. Let's just see how this whole thing is building, because while Meta is trying to decouple from China on the software side, the reality on the hardware side makes that almost impossible. What we're witnessing is a full-scale coordinated displacement. Just take a look at the upcoming CES trade show, the biggest tech event of the year. The list of exhibitors for humanoid robotics, well, it shows a disparity that's basically statistically impossible to ignore. Out of 34 companies showing off viable platforms, 20 of them are from China. The US and South Korea, they're only bringing 5 each. And look, we're not just talking about shiny prototypes here. A Chinese company, UBTech, has already rolled its 1,000th Walker S2 robot off the line. 500 of those are already working in real factories right now, and they're planning to scale to 10,000 units by 2026. You have to understand, this is not just a simple market fluctuation. This is a national strategy. China's Ministry of Industry has already put together a standardization committee. They are literally writing the rulebook, defining the hardware specs, the safety protocols, the data formats, before Western regulators have even finished their first drafts. So, okay, the hardware layer is creating this huge dependency. But that exact same inversion of power, it's happening in the software that runs on top of all that hardware. For example, check out iQuest Coder. This is an open source model that wasn't released by some tech giant. Nope, it came from a Chinese investment firm. And on the benchmark that tests an AI's ability to fix real-world software bugs, it's hitting 81.4%, which solidly beats both Claude and GPT-4. And you know what? We've seen this exact playbook before with DeepSeek, another financial firm that just built a world-class AI model basically as a side project. And speaking of DeepSeek, on the very last day of 2025, their researchers dropped a paper on a new architecture with this incredibly technical name. I know, it's a mouthful, but the concept behind it, it represents a fundamental leap forward in how these AI models can actually think. Okay, let me break it down with an analogy. Think of it like a highway. Right now, most AI thinks in a single lane, one thought at a time, which is slow. For years, researchers tried to add more lanes for parallel thinking, but every time they tried to scale it up, the whole system would just crash. Well, DeepSeek figured out how to make it stable. They tested it all the way up to 27 billion parameters without a single failure. And the results of that breakthrough is just staggering. You get a 4 times jump in thinking power for only a 7% increase in computing cost. Now, the last time DeepSeek's CEO dropped a paper this significant, the DeepSeek's coder model followed right behind it. So the speculation is that something big is coming, probably around mid-February. All right, so you've got this intense race between the US and China that's driving all this incredible innovation in both hardware and software. But while these two giants are battling it out, the rest of the world isn't just sitting on the sidelines. A new global power center for AI is quietly taking shape. The biggest names in AI, we're talking Bill Gates, Demis Hassabis from Google DeepMind, Dario Agata from Anthropic, they are all booking flights and they are all headed to the same country, India. See, from February 15th to the 20th, India is hosting the AI Impact Summit. It's being kicked off by Prime Minister Modi himself, with delegations from over 100 countries. And yes, that includes an invitation to China.
The stated goal? To make AI accessible for developing nations, not just the wealthy ones. This is a major strategic play, positioning India as this crucial, neutral third pole in the global AI race. Okay, so that's the high-level geopolitical map of what's shaping the future of AI. But all this rapid global competition, it's also fueling an absolute explosion of powerful new tools that you can get your hands on, like today. So let's pivot from the big picture to some practical open-source intelligence. Let's just run through a few of these. Tencent's HiMT 1.5 gives you offline translation in 33 languages, and it's faster than the paid APIs. HaniYushin 1.0 lets you create complex character animations from a simple text prompt. And for all you developers out there, LLM Router can slash your inference costs by up to 50% just by sending simple queries to cheaper models. The main takeaway here is that incredibly powerful and free tools are coming out at a staggering pace. So, let's put it all together. You've got the hardware shift, the software inversion, new global players jumping in, and this explosion of open source tools. What's the final verdict? Where is all of this going by 2026? Well, a couple of the biggest names in tech actually have some pretty blunt predictions. First up, Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram. He says that as AI makes perfect, polished content super easy to reproduce, that's actually going to become the new cheap copy. The raw, the messy, the imperfect stuff, that's going to become a luxury good. And why? Because that little bit of imperfection will be the only proof you have that something is real, that it was made by an actual human. And then you have Microsoft's CEO, Satya Nadella. He agrees that 2026 is when things get real, but he's looking at it from a different angle. He says right now we're in a model overhang, meaning the AI models are way more capable than our ability to actually use them effectively. So for him, 2026 is the year AI has to move past the shiny demos and become real, useful systems that actually do stuff. And that really brings us to the single most important question for this next phase of the revolution. The models are here. Their power is growing exponentially. The hardware is scaling up all across the globe. The only real question left is this: who's going to build the systems that put all of this incredible power to work?